Today I'll be reviewing 71 Into the Fire. It's a South Korean war movie made 2010 and it is directed by Lee Jahan. And in the lead role is Choi Seung-hyun, who apparently is a K-pop singer, which I didn't know until after I saw the movie. This movie has gotten mixed opinions, so either you'll dislike it or you'll like it. But for me, I enjoyed it. The film is based on a true story about 71 student soldiers who defended against the North Korean army during the Korean War. For 11 hours they defended the local Pohang Girls Middle School, a strategic point for safeguarding the struggling Nakong River perimeter from attack by overwhelming North Korean forces, especially the feared 766th Unit. The movie starts out with the main character being in a fierce battle where the South Koreans were on the losing side. We see the desperation of the South Korean soldiers fighting against an overwhelming force of North Koreans. He is tasked to deliver ammunition at the front line, but it goes downhill and we see how inexperienced he is. Eventually the South Koreans retreat and are stationed at a school, but the North Koreans are advancing on another front and reinforcements are needed. So the South Koreans leave the school and the remaining defenders are the student volunteers. So our main character gets in charge of these inexperienced and untrained youths, and he only got in charge of them because he's the only one with combat experience. And even then, he had been more of a runner and courier instead of an actual combatant. The students with limited resources have to train and prepare, but they lack discipline and won't listen to our main character. This is because some of the students are convicts but are freed if they fight. So we have that classical punkish guy against our main character trope. But so they have to learn how to work together to fight the threat of the North Koreans. The characters of the movie are well acted and have some depth to them. We understand why some act as they do, but there are some awkward parts in the movie that don't really fit into the overall theme. We see some characters evolve and redeem themselves. The movie has some clever parts in it and a sense of irony sometimes. But my main complaint is that the movie shows the Korean War very black and white. The North Koreans are shown as the classical bad guys, especially because there's a main antagonist, which is a commander of the 766th Unit, who goes against orders just to defeat the students. He even kills his own men, and he does like everything in his power just to kill these students. So that's a classical trope which makes the North Koreans seem very evil, but at some times the movie tries to humanize the North Koreans, but in the end there's too much of the bad guy drama to redeem the other humanizing parts that they're trying to do with the North Koreans. The movie's visual style reminds me of Saving Private Ryan, which I like, but it feels like too many war movies these days try to reenact Saving Private Ryan too much, that everyone wants to become that new Saving Private Ryan. And the movie does not hide from the gore, but sometimes it does focus a little bit too much on the explosions than the actual events. And the action is great, the movie delivers on that aspect. And most of the time the combat feels realistic, but some parts of the ending showdown are a little bit Hollywoodish, where we see the enemies just running forward without taking cover and just getting mowed down. But apparently that was actual North Korean tactics, so I can't say if it's intentional or not. Before I watched this movie, I didn't know much about the Korean War, but after seeing this movie, it piqued my interest. So, this is a sad movie with good acting, blockbuster ending, and a great visual style, and a good soundtrack. So if you're bored, someday maybe sick, and just wanting to see something, then give it a watch.